Hello, we are broadcasting from Jakarta, where we just finished the show in which we debuted the latest addition to the Lampizator portfolio, namely the Amber Amp, which is our latest product, which combines an Amber DAC, a fully equipped entry-level tube DAC with the tube amplifier, a stereo integrated amp. So with just one box solution, you can have a decent system just by adding speakers and sensitive speakers, because it's only 10 watts, so we need speakers above 90 dB mark, and adding the video, the audio music stream source, such as Tidal or Qobuz or Spotify or Apple Music or whichever you have, which can become a bedroom system, second room system, or simply a system in a smaller space. For example, here in Asia, where we are now, the apartments tend to be smaller than they are in the United States or in Europe. So people care about size of the product, so to accommodate it in their living space. I described in my previous video the details about the Amber Amp, but I didn't mention how is it possible that it sounds so good. There is a number of important features that are inside, which are way above its relatively small and perhaps modest look. Let's start from the end, from the output. We are using the best possible output transformers, which are based on special cores called amorphous core. The amorphous core is notoriously difficult to produce and hard to get, and also they don't come in very large sizes. So the fact that we are using EL84 as tubes enabled us to use amorphous core output, and that output cannot be mistaken with any other iron core transformer. We've tried to use a standard iron core transformer, and frankly the gap was so big that finally we decided that it's not worth our time and effort to build the amp if it doesn't have amorphous core transformers. The sound becomes much more liquid, much more open. The three-dimensional space opens in a way that is not possible with perhaps with iron core, and the result is similar to changing all your capacitors to silver capacitors and all your cables to silver cables. Something silverish happens in this system, where it is very pleasant and very addictive, and I cannot imagine this amplifier without them. So this is something that very few amplifiers can claim, the amorphous core transformer. Another feature is the volume control. Most amplifiers in this price range and in this kind of specification are using simple potentiometers. The potentiometer is the worst possible imaginable way of attenuating the signal. There is a carbon deposit track on which the metal contact is gliding and creating all kinds of noises and irregularities and big differences between left and right channel. So our solution, taken from our DACs, which is the resistor ladder controlled by a microprocessor, it has absolutely nothing in common with a potentiometer, even though there is a knob which mimics the old potentiometer. But what you are rotating actually is an optical encoder, and that optical encoder is sending binary digital signals to our microprocessor, which in turn decides which pair of resistors should be thrown into the mix to create the perfect volume. And not only it is better than a potentiometer, but it's also better than any rotary switching resistor ladder, because the rotary switching ladders are normally maximum 24 steps. We are using 64 steps, and it's very important that you can adjust the volume with a fine grid resolution, and not with very large jumps. Also, the rotary switch is a mechanical device which relies upon a metal blade jumping in between metal contacts, and sooner or later it develops noises and dirt and the wear and tear on the contact, and becomes noisy and creates pops in between certain volume positions. So by using the state-of-art microprocessor volume control, which is fully analog, so the signal goes only through one pair of resistor at a time, and its precision, it's nowhere near the potentiometer, which is plus minus 20%. Here we are talking about plus minus less than 1%. So the accuracy is very good, the tracking of both channels is very precise, and there are no switching noises, and the longevity of this product is practically infinite. You could spend the rest of your life turning the volume up and down, and it will never wear or start creating switching noises. Another factor is that we are using no feedback of any kind in the whole device. So both sections, the DAC section and the amp section, are doing without any negative feedback. The negative feedback is the ultimate evil that kills all musicality, sense of space, sense of involvement in music. This is what we call beautiful sound. The beautiful sound will not be possible if you apply in the DAC section, as most manufacturers probably do. In their output stage, they create filters and feedbacks with op amps, and these op amps have feedbacks internally and feedbacks externally, and then the amplifier of this kind is normally controlled by the global feedback loop, which minimizes the harmonic distortions of the amplifier. We designed it so purely and so cleanly that no feedback was needed, and the spectrum analysis of our analog signal shows no harmonics, so there is nothing to control by means of feedback. We can just make it open, and this is where the amp really shines, in its openness, cleanness, as if a veil is removed, and microdynamic that is sometimes spooky. If you forget that you're listening to live music and a drummer hits the rim shot very quickly, you can jump in your chair, and this is a very pleasant surprise in music. So lack of negative feedback is one of the key design goals, and it was achieved, and I'm very proud of this design, which is very rare in today's market. Another feature is the lack of typical phase splitting section in the amplifier. So the four analog signals coming from the DAC are transmitted in its straight, unmodified, four fully balanced configuration. That means that it is the only amp on the market which is at the same time push-pull and fully balanced and doesn't have a phase splitter. It would not be possible if it was just an amplifier. It is only possible because it's combined with a DAC and the balance signal is already on board. So you see that these factors are practically invisible to the naked eye and even to a specialist looking at the product. So that's why I'm including an in-depth explanation how in the world it is possible that an amp that looks like an entry level sounds like a very mature and very expensive product, probably able to compete with $20,000 range of amplifiers, and still probably beating them on purity and pure joy of music. And the last thing I wanted to mention is the tube that we use, the EL84, is quite rarely used tube, and it is built in such a way that it's in its novel and very slim packaging. It doesn't look like this large tube which is proudly displayed in big amplifiers. So people very often ignore EL84, but it's the industry very well kept secret that this is the best sounding power tube from all the pentode world. Even audio note, the Japanese Kondo Overture 50,000 euro amplifier uses EL84, and they are not ashamed of it. So that means that even Mr. Kondo took that tube very seriously. So the only problem with EL84 is relatively small power, and as I said in my previous video, small power is actually an asset in this amplifier because it gives us very high quality first 10 watts, and the first 10 watts is what we really listen to, and very rarely we need anymore. That's it. Lukasz Fikus speaking from Jakarta. I'm heading home, and I hope to talk to you again from my office. Thank you.